What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Y'all, it would be when I'm about to record the podcast, a dang helicopter is flying around. I live in a neighborhood where the chopper be chopping. Like, y'all know, y'all be seeing like the live footage from LA with the car chases and the people running through between the apartment complexes. Y'all, it's always somebody running between the complex. So if y'all hear the chopper, if it's chopper style in the back, y'all, I'm so sorry. It's always so much going on over here. I'm so stressed. But also, I hope y'all just don't hear it at all. Okay. I'm stressed. It's a lot going on in the world, but nothing at all. And with that, I am extremely stressed out. I haven't, y'all, it's just a very trying time. It is a very, very trying time. And I just don't know. My anxiety is through the roof. It could be the perimenopause. Now, it could be perimenopause because with the perimenopause. Let me back up one real quick. I went to my primary care physician, and it's just this is some side chatter that I got to get off my chest because it really made me upset. Y'all know we're at the point where now women are talking about perimenopause. Generations before they ain't had nothing to say. They didn't have nothing to say. But now, because we're more open and more willing to share our experiences, a lot more people are talking about perimenopause, especially in my age demographic. Okay, your girl 40 plus. So looking up all of the symptoms and comparing those to the changes that I'm experiencing within my body, it has to be perimenopause. Okay, it has to be. Some of the main symptoms that I have been having, just random anxiety. I could just be sitting on the couch eating some ice cream and all of a sudden I'm having a full blown anxiety attack. Ain't nothing going on. Everything's good. Anxiety, the severe itchy skin, the body aches, the brain fog. I've been having all of it. It was to the point it got so bad. I was Googling other symptoms. I was like, am I about to be going on to be with them? Am I about to be going on to be with them? It has to be perimenopause. In addition to some changes with my monthly cycle. But we're not going to get into that. We got some male Black news listeners, and I know this is something that we all should be talking about because we're adults, but I'll spare you the details. There's also get some kids. Y'all be listening in the car with the kids. I get it. But I go to my primary care physician for my annual physical, and I have my list. So I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, but at the top of the list, I need to talk about perimenopause. Even though as the primary care, I didn't expect her to be fluent in those types of conversations, but because she's a woman doctor, I did expect some level of knowledge. I get in there, start talking about things I've been going through and some of the stuff that I've been doing, my new multivitamin regimen, all the stuff, exercise, all of it. I didn't go into about how I believe one of my perimenopause symptoms is anxiety on top of other few things. And I compared that to the changes in my cycle, all of this stuff. You know, this woman going to tell me, well, no, you're not going through perimenopause. Are you still having a cycle? I was like, yeah. She said, are you still having it a monthly? I was like, yeah. She was like, well, then you're not going through perimenopause. Perimenopause is when you have large gaps within the cycle. So I'm sitting up here looking at this woman and I said, wait, you trying to tell me that I could be experiencing all of these symptoms, but it doesn't get categorized as perimenopause until my cycle stops? She was like, yeah. I said, okay, girl. Okay. And again, I know she's a medical professional and I'm not, but I'm having a very difficult time believing, based on the research that I've done, that all of everything that I'm experiencing is null and void until that one thing happens. It just made me mad, y'all. I'm gonna see my other doctor soon, and I got it on my list. It just pissed me off. But with that, and with those symptoms, it is heightening exactly what I've been going through lately with the trying times we are dealing with in this country. I know I try my best to stay in the posture of, we told y'all this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. It just has to play out. But as someone with a brain, critical thinking skills, and a heart, someone with compassion and concern about the place that we're living in and other people, I am so stressed out. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm furious. I won't say I'm scared, but I am extremely concerned. And I'm just mad. I can't believe y'all let this happen. I can't believe y'all let this happen. On the flip side, it needed to happen in order for America to finally learn the lessons that it should have learned post slavery. Because all of this wouldn't be happening if right after the Emancipation Proclamation was read, if that were handled differently, we would be in a totally different place that we are in now. But I am a believer that America has to have a reset in order to finally become aware of its wrongdoing across the board. It's sucky and it stinks that we all are witnessing and a part of this in real time. And I know every week on Black News I say something like this, but y'all, we are in unprecedented times. I know when y'all be talking to y'all family members or y'all cousins, y'all coworkers, or just people who just act like they ain't never read a book ever in life. I know we be frustrated, but y'all, this is unprecedented times. And if we ain't screaming this from the rooftops, they ain't about to put us in the history books and be saying that we were stupid. Baby, don't write me down with the dummies. Okay. I was doing my part. Please don't write us down with the people who act like we did not care. So I'm going to talk about this. But specifically this week, the topic of slavery has come back into the forefront. And I touched on this last week when I was talking about how people don't know Black history, but it has really become magnified because of the conversation that happened after Jillian Michaels, who was the fitness coach, was invited as a panelist on CNN on Abby's show, the only Black woman damn near. And Abby started to go on a diatribe about slavery. We all know that Americans are severely undereducated around American history, specifically slavery, the enslavement of Black people, transatlantic slave trade, what was happening here, let alone the Caribbean and South America. Um, Grossly undereducated, don't really know all of the facts, the nuances, how bad it was. But with social media, the changing of history books, people lacking critical thinking skills and literacy being at an all-time low, it has come to all of our attention that it is actually worse than we thought regarding who knows what information. And also how easy it is for misinformation to be spread. And I say that because, and I'm going to play the clip in a second on CNN. It's going to make y'all mad, but I have to play it. But it is so easy now for someone to say something on a TV show, a tweet, a program, any place, and for people to take that clip or that statement and start to say it everywhere else as if it is completely true and accurate. I'm not sure if in the clip I'm about to play, if this was the exact statement she said, but at one point it was talked about how only 2% of Americans own slaves, which is it is a misrepresentation of the data, because if 2% of Americans own slaves of America, that is all of America. That's not concentrated down into the regions of America where slavery was legal and prominent. That is also not drilled down into the numbers of people who benefited from the institutions that slavery touched, i.e., the industrial aspect of America, farming, agriculture, banks, shipping. Every part of American life during enslavement, regardless if you own slaves or not, were a part of the slave trade, even down to people wearing clothes. If you wore clothes that were made of cotton or were dyed using indigo or were sewn together in mass production, it is highly likely that you contributed to the taking advantage of slave labor. If you ate food, slavery. If you used the cotton gin back then, slavery. All of those even inventions, slavery. The banking industry, Wall Street, slavery. Shipping, slavery. Coffee, tobacco, guys, come on. I can go on and on. I'll get into that more in a minute. But I've been seeing people take one of the bad quotes and start to just reiterate it all over the place. I'm talking about people on social media be having debates and they be in the comments. Y'all don't know how many times over this last couple weeks I've seen that same exact talking point be spread around. And it's unfortunate because for people who read books and who have studied history, they know that reiterating those facts makes you look stupid, like you aren't educated at all, like you haven't read a book and you just mimicking talking points. The sad part about it is people who are uneducated and other fellow uneducated people have no clue how dumb that is. They just don't. So they'll just keep spreading the misinformation over and over again, and it's spread like wildfire. We are in a crisis. We are in a crisis. So I'm going to play the clip real quick and then move on because there are multiple aspects of this, including y'all's boy now essentially declaring war on the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. So let me start with this clip first, get y'all mad real quick, and then we'll keep it pushing.
He's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we address
wants.
Some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Slavery was a bad thing that we could talk about.
Okay.
Like,
he's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you look at slavery, let's talk about the fact
that slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people.
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery?
Wait a second.
Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that,
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
in the context of American history.
Okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door,
exactly,
the first thing you see is the gay flag?
Jillian, you have a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yeah, I do,
what
because
exactly
I don't, because here's the thing.
Are you talking about?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
There's one called Change Your Game, right? This has been an installation there. Is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't.
And it's totally partisan.
First of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument.
No.
Everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery
is a good thing. Just to be clear, you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery. And you brought up the question of whether you brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is
no,
yes.
I did not say
in the United States
don't
is
straw man my argument
race.
because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
slavery, and what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. When you make every single exhibit about white imperialism when it isn't relevant at all, that is a problem. So when you're talking about Cubans leaving Cuba and you make it about white people bad, that's not accurate.
Can I just say something?
That's my point.
All right, we're going to move on from that.
He's gone into the Smithsonian. He's effectively.
That was only one clip. And that had to be some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm just going to, that was some stupid, like, a couple things. She mentioned how she had a list of every exhibit. No, you don't. We talking about the Smithsonian? You don't have a list of every single exhibit in the Black History Museum. Again, I'm pushing back now on CNN for allowing and platforming these people who are able to spew lies in the climate where we are severely undereducated. The citizens, Americans, some of our citizens cannot handle being able to receive inaccurate information and sift through it quick enough to determine if it's true or not. They can't handle it. But she said she went through this exhibits. Girl, listen, I pulled up the exhibits right here. I got some of the main exhibits. Okay. One, cultural expressions. Another one, musical crossroads, taking the stage, reckoning, reclaiming my time, making a way out of no way, double victory, power of place, sports, Spirit in the Dark, Century in the Making, A Changing America, Defending Freedom. Then there's one that says Slavery and Freedom. There's multiple floors in this museum. You telling me, Jillian, you know every exhibit? You a damn lie. Like, again, just be lying. And then gender testing in sports. Now, I ain't been in the African American Smithsonian in a long time, but when I was there, it wasn't no gender testing in sports exhibits. So again, people are allowed to just lie, and they lie quick because you don't have time to debunk everything that they're saying. It's a tactic. But this is just another sign of how, or another signal to how we are getting deeper and deeper and deeper into this mess. Now, in response to this, Nicole Hannah-Jones, who was the New York Times bestselling author, the author of the 1619 Project. Y'all remember that fantastic project that came out a few years ago, highlighting the 400-year mark of when the first Black person arrived here regarding the institution of slavery. She, again, wonderful scholar, now she's a Howard professor. She even made a video in response to this because it was getting so ridiculous. So let me play some of that for y'all because, child, we had to get Nicole Hannah-Jones to make a class. Like, it's just ridiculous. Let's see what Nicole had to say. And I'm not going to play the whole thing because it was long. But here's some of it.
Hey, y'all. I do not usually do these videos, but as a creator of the 1619 Project and someone who has studied the history of slavery for 3 decades, I could not let that viral CNN clip of Jillian Michaels stand. I have to first state that the times are far too serious and dangerous for us to lend our platforms to harmful nonsense. It's simply irresponsible, with everything that's happening in this country, to have someone as credentialless as Jillian Michaels on a major network show legitimizing the erasure of our history. Now, I know there have been some viral efforts to debunk her claim that somehow slavery was a side institution in the United States because less than 2% of white people own slaves. But even those efforts, while valiant, by embracing this right-wing framing, they still aren't really getting to it. You see, this is how numbers and data, though technically true, can also be lies. And this is why we can't let bad faith actors set the parameters of the debate or of our collective understanding. So please bear with me because this is a lot. Let's take the fewer than 2% of white people own slaves at face value, though we know that number is technically incorrect. And let's apply that standard to any other industry. What percentage of Americans own social media companies or technology companies such as Apple? It's a tiny percentage. I'm doubtful if it's even 1% of Americans. And yet no one would credibly argue that social media companies are not ubiquitous across American life, that they don't play a major influence on our political, social, and economic life in America. And in fact, what we know is that more than 70% of Americans use social media, though hardly any Americans own social media platforms. There's a reason that the heads of Meta, Apple, and Amazon, Google, and X all took part in Trump's inauguration festivities, with several of them standing on the actual dais during Trump's inauguration. These men also happen to be amongst the wealthiest in the world and demonstrate how a small cadre of super wealthy men can have an outsized impact on American politics and culture. This is just critical thinking, y'all. So, if we want to play the numbers game, the much more important measure is what percentage of Americans own slaves? No, but what percentage of those empowered did? So here we go. Before 1865, the end of slavery in the United States, 63% of U.S. presidents had been slave owners at some point in their lives. More than 1,800 members of Congress owned slaves, meaning between 1789 and 1819, more than half of the men elected to Congress each session were slave owners. What about the Supreme Court? 26 of this nation's first 30 Supreme Court justices were enslavers, and about half of all the Supreme Court justices before the Civil War were enslavers. So many Supreme Court justices were enslavers that if we added up all the Supreme Court justices coming all the way to this present court, 1 out of 4 of all Supreme Court justices in this nation's history were enslavers. I mean, let's just look at our money. All but one of the people on our cash currency engaged in African slavery. Look at the $1 bill, $2 bill, 10, 20, 50, 100. All these men engaged in slavery. It's weird that we didn't value all those non-slave holding white people enough to put them on our money. The majority of the most powerful men in this country, the men who made the federal laws, interpreted the laws, and enforced the laws, built their wealth on African slavery. And I assure you, that number says much more about the country we inhabit than that 2%. But let's not stop there, because even limiting the boundaries of the conversation to those who owned other human beings is highly misleading. Much like technology today.
I'll stop there because listen, she was going in on y'all. And I'm not saying y'all, the Black News listeners. I'm talking about, the you-know-whos. It's unfortunate that even with Nicole Hannah-Jones making this video and trying to educate people, it ain't enough. We are too far gone. We in too deep. LL Cool J, Omar Epps. You ain't a cop, Jay Reed. We in too deep. But even with that, y'all's boy decided to be tweeting and talking about the museums. Now he done got caught wind of it, and now here we are. So this is just some of the tweet. He called the African American History and Culture Museum, Smithsonian, out of control. Everything discussed in the museum is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was. Woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world. We want people to talk about it, including in our museums. He continues on and essentially says they will be looking into the exhibits and now combing through, sending attorneys or whoever in there, and now they're going to be looking at the museum, y'all. This is what we was trying to tell y'all in November. It's giving North Korea. It's giving Germany in the 1930s. And unfortunately, we in too deep. Like, I just can't. Which ties back to what I was saying about me being stressed and anxiety. Child, I'm talking about through the roof. Like, what can we do? I don't know, y'all. Ugh. And let me just throw out one more point about this talking point. Because y'all know I've talked about this on Black News a few times. I hate this. I hate when people are talking about the enslavement of Black people and they say, well, Africans sold other Africans into slavery. It's not, we wouldn't have been in this situation if Africans wouldn't have sold other Africans. That got to be the most uninformed, ill-informed talking point that I just can't take it no more. Because what it tells me, and y'all, I be going off in people comments. I'll be fighting in the comments, y'all. I just can't help it. Sometimes I be in the mood. One thing I always say in response to that is, just so you know, this comment tells us immediately that you are undereducated and have not read any books, literature, articles, research on the topic of enslavement. Because to say and to simplify that experience tells me that you have done no reading and don't know what you're talking about. Because all of us know, and again, I've said this, and as we said it time and time again, I'm going to reiterate, at some point, the majority of tribes in West Africa had touched the transatlantic slave trade in some capacity. Y'all got to remember, it wasn't just the transatlantic slave trade to the United States of America. Africans were being shipped to the Caribbean and South America before they started coming here. It was already producing. We were already pumping out this system. In over 4 centuries, the majority of African tribes touched the transatlantic slave trade in some capacity. And when I say that, that means either by choice or by force. There's documentation, there's literature, research that support all of this information. There are accounts where it has been documented that, especially in the early years of enslavement, people in Africa did not know what was on the other side. Selling prisoners of war was normal because you got to keep your identity. It wasn't until later than they realized. And then at that point, I need y'all to read Guns, Germs, and Steel. And even if y'all don't read it, get the concept of guns, germs, and steel. When you are outnumbered in weaponry, germs, and steel, there's only so much fighting back you could do. So a lot of tribes, villages, communities may have initially thought they were a part of something just for the sake of like, oh, we just gonna make a couple dollars. But once that happened, and once the train started moving, and once that real money started being made, you in too deep. For some people, it was either you find us some Africans to sell, or you gonna be the Africans that we sell. And you tell me, answer this question for yourself. Because everybody like to act like they would, if I was there, I would have done. If it was me, I would have, you wouldn't have done nothing. If your back was against the wall and you had a gun to your head and somebody was telling you, you either get me what we need, or your family is gonna be in chains, what would you do? There are accounts where people fought back, and guess what? They ended up being taken anyway, head on a spike. That's what I'm saying. That talking point is so asinine. Some people were a part of the slave trade for profit, but at some point over the span of 400 years, those ebbs and flows was ebbing and flowing. So I hate that talking point. With that, I'm going to leave it alone for now. The next step for us is to brainstorm how we can help this, because Black history is under attack, and they're trying to do this so they can minimize our experience, so that when the experience happens again, we will have no recollection, and the generations coming up behind us will not know how to see what's coming. That's the plan. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. But let me know your thoughts on all of it. The museum situation, the Jillian Michaels comments, or, if you just have other feelings and emotions about it, hit me up. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. Okay, this is so random, but I just need to get this off my chest as well. I want to, show some love to Tiana Taylor, whose album was released this past week, but also her relationship with Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa, is in the spotlight. They are in a relationship together, very attractive couple. I actually really like seeing them together. Um, it's just a pairing that I wasn't expecting, but I really like it. And they just real fine. Like, you just see two people just be super fine. See, that's what we be talking about, okay? When we say we want to fine men, that's what we mean. We not dating them. We ain't dating no boy. Hey, if you ain't fine, we ain't dating you in the 25. Okay? That's it. We not. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry to inform you. If you ain't fine, we ain't dating you in the 25. Okay? And I like that. You see how I'm using it. Maybe I'm just speaking for me. Okay? Maybe I'm just speaking for me. But one thing that has been really burning my chops is how people, and not just in regards to this relationship, when people are seeing celebrity relationships now, we saw this with Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey. We saw this, you name it, we see it. Now, all of a sudden, people are quick to be like, oh, that's a PR relationship. No, I don't believe it. It's a PR relationship. It must be a PR relationship. That's got to be PR. Y'all, when everybody become experts on PR relationships? Let me know, when all of a sudden did everybody at the same time become versed in public relations relationships? Please let me know. When was it? Was it past year, 2024? Was it 2023? When did everybody all of a sudden know how to spot PR relationships? I'm gonna be an asshole when I make these next statements. Hey, a lot of people can't spot the flaws in their own relationship. So now all of a sudden you can spot the PR relationship. You get what I'm saying? Some people can't see the real side in the person that's actually standing in front of them. Sometimes it is very difficult for us to be able to sift through individuals in our own lives. People show up with masks. They are posturing as someone else. We are often gaslit, lied to, you name it. People show up as the best version of themselves all the time. And it is oftentimes where daters, people in relationships, are unable to see the true side of someone. We always hear like, dang, I didn't realize this wasn't the person that I met. It is very challenging navigating the dating world as ourselves. So with all of those things that we are experience as individuals, when did all of a sudden, amongst the challenges we face ourselves, did now everybody know and learn how to spot a PR relationship? Please tell me when. When did it happen? I just want us to be mindful of saying that. Now, could PR relationships exist? Yes. Could some people be in PR relationships? Sure. Could some people not be in PR relationships? Absolutely. Do that got anything to do with you? No. And if they are in a PR relationship, anybody, so what? Let's say whoever you say is in a PR relationship is actually in a PR relationship. And so, baby, regular citizens be in PR relationships. I'm about to date him because that's going to give me access to this. I'm going to date her because she this, blah, 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 blah. Hell, as an entertainer, I have men who have tried to date me just so they can get in interaction and be close to some of my friends who are a bit more successful than I am. They don't outright say it, but quickly after the conversation starts and we start going out, they hit you with I would love if you could introduce me to so-and-so. I got an idea that I want to pitch to so-and-so. Could you introduce me? Technically, that could be a PR relationship for them. So I just want to throw that out there because I'm tired of seeing it. Because y'all know good and well, y'all don't know how to spot no damn PR relationship. Man, knock it off. Knock it off. What y'all think about it? Are y'all as annoyed as me? I ain't gonna spend too much time on it. I just had to get that off my chest. Okay? Hit me up though. Let me know your thoughts about it. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. And lastly, I just want to give A quick shout out to Venus Williams, who was playing in the US Open, has been back playing tennis this for the past couple of months. 45 years old, y'all. Still out here on the tennis court, living her dreams and being legendary. Y'all, shout out to Venus. I also saw some clips of Venus playing today and I got so emotional. And side note, I saw her playing a couple of months ago when she said she back because she realized that she was about to be on Cobra Health benefits and she had to get her insurance back up. Baby, that's real. That's a true American story. Baby, Cobra is expensive. And if if Venus Williams can't retire because she got to get them benefits, what that mean for the rest of us? What that mean for the rest of us? But I just want to quickly, again, shed some light on Venus because, and when I say I got emotional, there's a lot of focus on the Williams sisters, but specifically more so with Serena because she has more accolades per se, right? She got more of the titles. She became the more dominant sister, even though both Williams sisters were extremely dominant in the sport of women's tennis. But when you really think about it, and we saw this when their movie came out that starred Will Smith, Venus was really the groundbreaker. Venus broke the door down for Black women in tennis. I mean, it was the sisters. They both did it. But Venus was I'm talking about first one to come out there with them braids, them beads, and to be dominating and to initially start to shift women's tennis into a sport that appealed to girls like me and to people like us. We were never locked into tennis the way we were locked in when Venus and them started playing. I'm talking about sitting down. I gotta watch Venus and Serena play. Venus kicked that door down. And all of these young girls now that are playing tennis, you got Naomi Osaka, Sloane Stevens, Coco Gauff. They owe it to Venus. Yes, and Serena too. But Venus, if it wasn't for Venus, what was we gonna be doing? What was we gonna be doing? Let me just say this too. I'm just gonna read some of her accolades. If I can get a snapshot. She has 49 career titles. Her highest ranking was number 1. She has won in the Wimbledon 2000, 2001, 05, 07, 08. This was her Grand Slam singles titles. French Open in 02, Australian Open 03 and 17, US Open in 2000 and 2001. She Grand Slam Cup, Olympics. She has gold medals, doubles. Because you remember her and Serena used to be out there whooping ass within them doubles, baby. Okay, look. Doubles. They won the Australian Open 01, 03, 09, 2010. French Open 1999, 2010. Wimbledon 2000, 02, 08, 09, 12, 16. US Open 99, 09. They was out here getting to it. Okay. The Williams sisters, but specifically Venus, I don't think Venus gets as much respect as she should get. I just don't think so. Gold medals, singles, 2000 Olympics in Sydney. Then she got the doubles in Sydney, gold doubles in Beijing, and gold in London. Y'all, legendary. I just wanted to say that because seeing her out there at 45, it just, it made me so emotional. I'm getting emotional right now. From Compton. Y'all, they from Compton. These neighborhoods ain't designed to, and I'm doing air quotes with this, let Black people out. They are not designed. They design it so you set up to fail. That's how it is. Girl, y'all don't get me started. Shout out to Venus, the groundbreaker. Broke the door down for women's tennis for all of us. Let me know y'all thoughts. And if y'all got to catch her match, right? If y'all caught it in real time, hit me up. You can find me at Canelia on social media. On this episode of Black News, we talked about the conversation around slavery again, the attack on Black history, specifically museums, and mis and disinformation we are receiving from unqualified speakers on the topic. We also talked about PR relationships and how some of y'all need to stop using that term, and also gave a quick shout out to Venus Williams, the groundbreaking women's tennis champion who is still playing at the age of 45. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Canelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is canelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.